Hello everybody and welcome to this session on Pathlight ThriveHive. It's Monday and we have a special guest with us today. It is Jo-Ann Spronk. Hello Jo.
Hello everyone. Hi Paul.
Thank you for being here and thank you to Alex, Kath and Julie for joining us live as well. So today we're going to be talking about breath work. Jo is a holistic practitioner and mental health first aid instructor, and also the founder of the Happy Mind Tribe. So welcome, Jo.
Thank you very much for having me, Paul.
It's a pleasure. Always good to connect with you. So do you want to perhaps just give a little introduction about yourself, what you do?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. It's so nice to be here with you on the ThriveHive. I've been watching lots of the videos being recorded over the last couple of weeks, and I've just found it brilliant to be able to tap into resources like this during this very strange time. So thank you for that, Paul. It's such a great space that you've created with all these wonderful folk. So yes, as Paul said, I am a holistic practitioner. I practice something called body talk, and I do Reiki as well. I'm also a qualified yoga instructor. And I am the founder of the Happy Mind Tribe, and we predominantly deliver face-to-face training in corporate locations doing mental health first aid and various other types of well-being and mental health workshops. At the moment, we've obviously had to change strategy because we're not doing face-to-face stuff, so we're doing a bit of online work with webinars and the like. Yes, I also work as a project manager. I've worked in the corporate world for quite a long time. I enjoy that side of things as well. So I kind of balance my time 50-50 between, doing all the stuff that makes my heart sing and then, the nitty gritty of project management life. Yeah, so that's basically me in a nutshell.
Juggling lots of balls, Jo.
Lots of balls, yes. I'm a mum of 2 small boys as well. Both under the age of 6, so that's also another ball to juggle.
Yeah, challenging times. Being a mum and being a business owner and trying to keep everything afloat.
It certainly is.
Yeah. So that leads me into my first question. I've got 2 questions that I'm asking all of my guests now, and the first one is: how are you coping with lockdown?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's changeable, I suppose, on any given day, possibly at the time of day you're asking me as well. At the moment today, again, it's been up and down. The boys are a handful, wonderfully energetic. I wish I could tap some of their energy myself and kind of take it in a little elixir. Yeah, they do give me the run around, but we had some time doing some gardening. We're planting vegetables at the moment. We're trying to research ways to keep the foxes from fouling in the garden as well. So that has taken up some of our time. And then I was working today as well. So yeah, it's a juggle. Generally up and down, I think, like everyone else. It's not been an easy time, but yeah, we find tools in our toolbox to cope, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, and we just kind of have to keep moving through it.
Yeah, good answer. I'm guessing some of the tools that you teach your corporate clients around self-care, you're trying to apply to yourself and your family at this time?
Absolutely. I was saying to you before we went live, I think what people are finding particularly interesting at the moment is this kind of concept of the stress container, because we all tend to compartmentalize things, kind of put them in nice little packages and deal with them separately. But what we don't realize is that compounded impact of feeling the weight of all those files. And that's basically your stress container. And you only have one. It's not multiple things that you can pick up and put down. It's actually one big stress container. And if you're not looking at it as a whole and finding outlets to release stress, then you're going to find yourself in a position where you're feeling the physical and psychological effects of prolonged stress. And especially at the moment when, people are stuck inside, and possibly what they might be used to doing to alleviate stress or connect or exercise, they might not be doing as much anymore because of our restrictions. But yeah.
Yeah, and as you were saying, as we both know from delivering mental health first aid courses, that stress container, getting people to actually visualize it and write down all of the things that they are carrying, is a really helpful visual tool to say, gosh, no wonder I'm struggling or stressed.
Absolutely.
Those kind of things you have to.
Yeah. And it's also interesting to see, to kind of, if you've got things written down, to look at what you can control and what you can't control and where you're putting your energy into. Obviously, the things that you can control, much better use of energy, and the things that you can't control, kind of ease back on putting so much of yourself into that, because, you can't change it.
That's right. And the longer we have to carry those things in the stress container, the harder it gets.
Absolutely.
Those positive coping strategies to prevent overwhelm, I suppose.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And welcome, Marcus. I hope it's okay with you with recording this, if that's okay. Yeah.
Hi, Marcus.
So we're just going to having a general chat with Jo at the minute, and then we're going to do a demonstration around breath work a little later. So if you have any questions whilst we're talking, just give us a wave or something. Okay, so next question. What do you love? What are your passions?
Oh, what do I love? I love gardening. I love yoga. I love music. I love family and friends. Lots of things, lots of things. I love walking out in the forest and looking for things to forage. That's one of my greatest pleasures, especially this time of year when you start to see things coming out and you're walking around thinking, I need to remember that bush, because when I walk back past it in a couple of months' time, it's going to be laden with fruit. So yeah, I just like to, do things like that. Being out in nature, I really enjoy. Taking my boys out, walking around with little sticks and looking in bushes. Yeah, that type of thing.
There's something very special about sticks, especially for boys of a certain age.
Oh yes, there are, for sure.
There was a time when I used to go out with my children, and almost without exception, my boy would find a stick on our walk. And what you were saying there about foraging and seeing stuff coming into bloom. I went for a walk with my children yesterday, and we walked past a bush that was just starting to flower, and incredible. I have no idea what bush it was, but it was just starting to flower, and I thought, in about a week's time, this is going to be spectacular.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
The bounty of nature.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, great. Okay, so just to talk a little bit more about the Happy Mind Tribe. So it's about transforming mental health, well-being, and the culture of workplaces. So do you want to say a little bit about how you go about that, Jo?
I missed the beginning of that question because you went a little bit static on me.
Apologies, it's probably
if you could repeat.
Yes, so going back to the Happy Mind Tribe.
Yes.
My understanding is what you do is go into workplaces, and it's about transforming the mental health, the well-being, and the corporate culture.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you want to just say a little bit around how you do that and whether breath work comes into that at any point.
Yeah, so I suppose with my business background, I'm quite focused on process and framework. And I think that's the key to having any good corporate strategy around well-being, is to have the right framework in place and the right policies. So that's the first thing I do when I go into a business, is just to have a look at that and see what's in place. Often people kind of, especially smaller businesses, will say, we really feel like there's a need to have mental health first aiders. But they might just do it as a tick box exercise. So let's train up 2 mental health first aiders like we do fire wardens, for instance, and then we'll just set them free into the business. But actually what they're not creating is the right framework, to support those individuals who are mental health first aiders, and actually to make sure that the ideas brought in by mental health first aiders around mental health and well-being actually filters down the business from the top to the bottom, because that's really key. If you don't get senior management buy-in and it's not being communicated from a senior level down, it's never going to infiltrate the culture of the business. So that's what I look at first. And then I actually offer bespoke kind of modules. So depending on the demographic of the business, so to speak, every business is unique, with different types of people of different age groups with different interests. So having a look at what might fit your business. So sometimes, yoga might not fit in a construction business where it's predominantly men between the ages of 45 and 65. They might prefer something else, like comedy skits at lunchtime, or something along those lines, or breath work or meditation. It all depends on the demographic of your business. So I try to piece together little modules that businesses can pick and choose, and breathwork would be one of those.
Excellent. So yeah, getting the buy-in from top to bottom is clearly important to
Yes, absolutely.
change. Yeah, great stuff. Okay, so that's what you do. I wonder if you could explain why you do it, and perhaps what led you to doing all of the work that you do today.
Yeah. Having listened to the other speakers over the course of the last couple of weeks, I think quite a few of us have something in common. It's kind of this the wounded healer thing. Many of us come into this work from a place of having experienced our own trauma or mental health issues, and that's certainly the case for me. I suffered from anxiety probably from my late teens right the way into my 30s. I didn't really know what it was until it got so bad that I was having panic attacks. That was in my early 20s. And then I discovered yoga, just completely out of the blue, picked up a flyer outside Earlsfield Station in London, and went to my first class. And I was absolutely hooked, because that feeling that you get of being centered when everything's so crazy, that kind of coming together just felt absolutely amazing, and it gave me so much strength. And the breath work that I obviously learned through yoga was pivotal in helping me manage my anxiety. So that was kind of the beginning of the road for me. It was looking for something that would help me deal with my anxiety. And then over the years, as you do, you pick up other things. In yoga classes, people talk about different modalities, and that's how I came across body talk and Reiki and that type of thing. And then later on, after I had it was actually while I was pregnant with my second son, we got some news that he had a congenital heart defect and he would require open heart surgery at birth. It was a massive shock. And my husband and I both went through some quite difficult mental health times. It was very challenging for us. And after the experience, it was maybe 2 years after that experience, it kind of came full circle, and I was able to sit with it for a bit and think, like, what do I want to do with that experience, with all of those things that I had to learn about personal resilience and drawing on my tools to get me through that time. What do I want to do with that? And that's when I felt like I wanted to go into the mental health space, especially in the corporate environment, because both my husband and I had very different experiences of support through the places that we worked at during that time.
Yeah. So very much, resonate with what you're saying there around the wounded healer. And
yeah,
I think there is a common thread from so many of the people that I'm talking to, Jo, around people experiencing difficulties, traumas or mental health issues, and from that something positive emerging, whether that's a change in life purpose or inspiring others through talking about it, or just working through their own issues and finding these wonderful tools to be able to support ourselves with our self-care and mental health. So breathwork for you is a big part of that, it seems.
It is, yeah. Absolutely. I think if there's one go-to thing for me, if nothing else is working, it's just coming back to my breath. That's it. It's a simple one, but it's so profound. Yeah, which is why I wanted to share this with you on this great platform. I think it's just such a neat little tool.
Yeah. And a lot of the best ideas are the simplest ideas.
Indeed.
So yeah, would you like to explain a bit more about what breathwork is and how it works physiologically and psychologically?
Yeah, sure. So the idea of breathwork is not really complex, right? It's breathing. But it's about having an awareness about what goes on when you're breathing, how you're breathing, and just having that inner sense of how your breath is affecting your emotions and your mental state. And once you've practiced it for a little bit, you'll kind of get an understanding of it. It's almost, often people say, just breathe, or just take a deep breath. And it's that kind of filling up and then the letting go. And that for me is where the key is. That's where the work is. It's the letting go that's the work. Just the breathing is that's easy. Taking a deep breath when someone tells you to take a deep breath, that's also really easy. It's that long, slow, smooth exhalation when the shoulders relax, the jaw relax, and the whole body just releases. It's work, but it's not effort, if that makes sense. And that's where the power of the breath is. It's through that release. And there's all sorts of different types of breath work that you can do. My school of training comes through yoga and pranayama. So that's kind of controlling the life force through the breath. Lots of different breathing techniques. But the one I'm going to talk you through today is super, super simple. It's just a 4-part inhalation and an 8-part exhalation. And again, it's just with that focus of, yes, breathe in deep, nice and deep, fill up your lungs, but you have to release, because that release is all part of letting go of the emotion, letting go of the day. It's stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is kind of that rest and relax, which is what we need when we're so super stressed. And then, of course, the benefits that come with the inhalation are there anyway, which is oxygenating your blood, improving your cardiovascular fitness or capacity, lowering your blood pressure, aids digestion. There's all sorts of fantastic physical benefits from just being able to breathe well. And you can breathe well all the time once you have that awareness, right? And then if you're feeling super stressed, you're like, oh gosh, what's going on with my breath? And you're like, oh wow, it's actually really shallow, right up here in the top of my chest. I'm not doing any breathing into my stomach, so I've actually got a really short, shallow breath. No wonder I'm feeling anxious, because the first thing you do when you get a fright or something happens, you go, it's that kind of feeling of bringing the breath up into the top of the chest and holding on to it. And that, just, you can see your physical response to that type of event. And it also has a psychological response as well, that holding on to and not kind of releasing out of. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
So you're feeling that?
Yeah, so it's the fight, flight, freeze thing, isn't it? When we do get stress or a shock or some kind of trauma, our breath shortens, it quickens, and like you say, we're breathing up in our upper chest cavity.
That's it.
By consciously slowing it down, taking the breath down into the belly, and the slow releasing exhalation. Doing that consciously is a really...
That's it, yeah. It's a relax and release.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's all sorts of different types of breath work. You talked about pranayama there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the one I tried. I did one a couple of months ago where I was lying down, and it involved almost hyperventilating, and some of my muscles went into spasm and cramps and stuff. I didn't really like that one, but good to try.
Yeah. That in yoga, that's called Kapalabhati. So it's like short, sharp belly pumps, pushing the air out. So they also call it the shining skull because it can make your face really red. Yeah, a little bit of hyperventilation happening. And it does bring up quite a lot of emotions. So often when people practice Kapalabhati, they might get a bit agitated, slightly irritated, because it's a very energizing, it's quite a masculine breath. Yeah, but it's a good one. It's a good one for clearing the base of the lungs, especially if you haven't been well, and you've still got a bit of a cough and you've got a bit of residual mucus resting in the base of the lungs. If you practice a bit of Kapalabhati, it will help move that a bit further out, so that you're able to clear your lungs more easily. It's a great breath.
Great. So the different types of breath work can have different benefits. Absolutely.
Yeah. There's another that we might have time to maybe practice 2 short little sessions. The other one is a really useful one for anxiety. It's called Anuloma Viloma. It's alternate nostril breath. So we kind of use something called Vishnu Mudra, which is a hand position. And then we block the nostrils and do an inhale on the one side and exhale on the other. And that just balances out the left and right energetic body, the masculine and feminine of the body as well. And that's also, because you've got quite a lot to focus on, you don't have time to focus on your anxiety. So it's a great breath for that, because you're having to focus in on physically what you're trying to do, but then also you're getting the benefits of the actual breath work.
Yeah, excellent. So a bit of a distraction technique, which is
absolutely always handy.
Yeah, I think that would be good actually to do that, because there are so many people who are experiencing anxiety at the moment. So if we've got time to do that one as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Have you heard of the Wim Hof method?
Yes, I have, through you. The last time we talked together, we had a chat about it.
We did, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of that one, which is, breathing exercises plus mind control plus cold water immersion. And that has a lot of scientifically proven physiological effects and mental health benefits. And, I'm a subscriber to that, so always open.
Fantastic, yeah. I love the idea, like the ethos behind what he does is fantastic as well. This whole idea of stimulating the senses and how that affects the body. I think a lot of what he does as well also stimulates the vagus nerve, which is kind of the master nerve that runs from the base of your spine all the way down, heart and lungs, and most of your major organs. And that is apparently doing lots of research around vagus nerve stimulation and the effects on mental health. So it's super interesting stuff.
It is, and one of the benefits I've felt from doing that for the past 6 months is that I don't feel the cold like I used to do.
Cool.
I have a lot of meat on my bones, but I used to really feel the cold, and now I just don't. So whether it's a circulatory thing or something else, I don't know. It could be to do with the vagal nerve there. But interesting stuff. So I suppose one more question before we get into the demonstration. You've talked about breathwork being useful for anxiety. Is there anything else specific around lockdown, the coronavirus situation, that you think breathwork is particularly useful for, Jo?
Yeah, well, there have been some studies and articles published around possibly using breath work to clear the lungs, of excess mucus. I'm not sure if anyone saw the video clip that was posted by one of the London doctors, a gentleman who recommended did you see it? Yeah, Kathleen. Apparently, many doctors are advocating deep abdominal breathing and just a mindfulness and focus on proper breathing to help move things through the lungs. So in this time, it's definitely worth just checking in with yourself and noticing what your breath's up to. It obviously has psychological benefits for mental well-being, But then there's also kind of the physical benefits as well. Bringing your heart rate down is another one, your blood pressure. And then, yeah, just having full lung capacity, especially if you're not well, being able to tap into your full lung capacity, because the lungs are really big. They kind of start just underneath the clavicle and then all the way down to the base of the ribs. And if you're just breathing up here in the top of the shallow part of your lungs, you're never really getting that full movement through the body. And once you learn how to do that, you have a lot more productive breath.
I'm guessing it could help with physical fitness as well, because if you do
absolutely
strenuous sports, then bringing in more oxygen with each breath will help you to maintain energy. As my son might attest, because he just started running the last few days. I'm a runner, and I've been not dragging him along with me. He did come voluntarily.
Yeah.
His breath was very fast and very shallow, and if he could perhaps take deeper breaths, he might be able to bring in more energy through that oxygen. I'm
by no means a runner as fit as you, Paul, having done marathons and all sorts, but I'm working my way up to 5Ks. And I definitely find that because I do so much breath work, it's not my lungs that fatigue from the running. It's kind of more the hip flexors and things if I'm not stretching them out. But definitely kind of using 4 counts, inhale, 4 counts, exhale when I'm running. Definitely trying to send the breath just underneath the belly button helps a lot for the running for sure, rather than a little panting that sometimes happens if you're not focusing on the breath.
Yeah, just realize that when I'm running, I do have a breathing pattern. I didn't when I first started running, but I think it's just something that's evolved naturally, that I do 3 steps for each in-breath and 3 steps for each out-breath.
Oh, nice.
My own brand of breath work. There we go.
Yeah, I should try that.
Yeah. So, would you like to, before we go into the first demos, does anyone have any questions, comments? If so, just unmute yourself and feel free to say something or ask your question.
Nope.
Okay.
Cool.
So happy to go ahead with the first demo, Jo?
I am, yes. Well, I'd like everyone to take part, if you wouldn't mind. It's kind of nice to kind of give you a little tuition, if you like. So the first one we'll do is we're just going to do something really relaxing. I'm going to kind of take you through your 5 senses, just checking in with the body, finding your breath. Then we'll do kind of the inhale for 4, exhale for 8. Just kind of get into a nice relaxing space. Then we'll come out of that, and then I'll give you a quick demonstration of the alternate nostril breathing technique. We'll do that, and then we can have some feedback after that. Okay, so make yourselves nice and comfortable. So the key with doing breath work, if you're going to do it as a practice, you want to make sure that your spine is nice and straight and that you're opening up your airways. So kind of, if you're sitting back, just kind of making sure that you're not tucking your chin too far in towards your chest. You can either lie down or sit up, making sure your shoulders are nice and relaxed. So kind of take a deep inhalation just into the shoulders. Imagine breathing into the shoulders. And as you exhale, just soften down the back of the spine, down the tops of the shoulders. And you can close your eyes if you wish. And just taking a moment on your next inhalation to find your breath. Just find where it is in your body as you inhale. Is it moving into your abdomen, top half of your lungs, or is your breath so soft that you can't even feel it entering? So just take a moment, inhaling and exhaling, finding your breath. And don't judge it, don't hold on to it. It is what it is, just let it be. Now we're just going to pull you into your body a little bit further through your 5 senses. So with your eyes closed, just notice any colors that you can see on the screen in front of you, your closed eyelids. There might be some swirling light, some swirling color. Don't hold on to any of it, just notice it. Feel the muscles around your eyes relaxing. And then just taking your awareness to your hearing, to your ears. So focus on the sound you can hear furthest away from you. Really search to find that sound furthest away from you. When you've identified it, just let it go. And then bring your awareness back to find the sound within you. So the closest sound you can hear. Might be the sound of your heartbeat, the sound of your breath. And as you take a deep inhalation, see what you can smell. Very underutilized sense, our sense of smell, but really important for survival. Take a nice deep breath again and just notice what you can smell. Bringing your awareness to your tongue. Just moving the tongue around softly in the mouth and then bringing it to rest at the top of the palate, very gently. Just noticing what you can taste. And then finally bringing your awareness to your sense of touch. So feeling the clothes on your body, feeling the supportive structure of your chair or your sofa. With your eyes closed, just see if you can feel the edges of your body and your skin. So really bringing all of your 5 senses together and inward. And then again, bringing your awareness back to your breath. You're going to take your right hand to the top of the chest and the left hand to the diaphragm. As you inhale, you're going to inhale into your left hand, so into the diaphragm. You're going to inhale for 4 counts, and you're going to keep breathing until you feel the air come up underneath the right hand. So inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to exhale for 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And really squeeze that diaphragm as you exhale. Inhaling again into the left hand. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you can release your hands down, and we'll just do it without your hands. So again, just filling the lungs. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just allow yourself to rest in this state with your eyes closed. Just notice how the body feels with just in a few breaths. Just notice how it feels. And then you can open your eyes. When you're ready. Okay. How did everyone find that? Any feedback?
Feel free to unmute yourselves.
Just found it really relaxing.
Good.
I loved it, Jo. I have COPD, so I've done, courses on pranayama breathing, and
Wonderful.
it's just so good for me. So I use it every single morning.
That's fantastic.
With my yoga, I do it with the breath. It's just.
Did you find the exhaling for 8 with the COPD? Do you struggle with that a little?
Yeah, but I push myself, and I do. I want to keep up, but yes, it is harder. And at the moment, I'm better than I've been in the last few months. So, sometimes it's really bad. So I'm celebrating. I can breathe.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's fantastic. Oh, it's great to hear that you use breath work so regularly, especially with your condition. That's fantastic.
Yeah. I've just not called it breathwork before.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. Great. Anyone else?
Yeah, it was very calm, very relaxing. Found it was a nice, calm internal space and just focus on the breath.
Good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Marcus. Cool. Great. So everyone enjoyed that. I'm really pleased. Want to have a go at alternate nostril breathing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. So there's a couple of different ones that we can do. The traditional one that I learned through my line of yoga requires a retention, but actually I find sometimes the retention or the holding of the breath can actually make people feel a little bit more agitated. And I think especially now that I've heard that Kathleen has COPD, I would rather not do a retention. So we're just going to do the one that I would recommend for anyone struggling with anxiety or wanting to kind of center themselves. So you can kind of follow along if you so wish. We're going to do Vishnu Mudra. So you're going to take your index finger and your middle finger to the fleshy part of your thumb. And these two little fingers might want to go a bit wild. Try and keep them together if you can. Yeah, so that's in your right hand. And what we're going to do, we're going to block the right nostril with our thumb, and we're going to exhale all the way through the left nostril until there's no breath. Then you're going to inhale on that same nostril for 4 counts. Then you're going to switch sides, and we're going to exhale on the other nostril for 8. Then we're going to inhale on that one for 4. I'll talk you through it. I don't want to block my nose while I'm talking because I'll sound like a Martian. So I'll talk you through it, but that's essentially how we're going to do it. So blocking the right nostril, exhaling all the air out of the left nostril. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Switching to exhale out of the right. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, same nostril, 4, 1. Swap over. Exhale, left nostril, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, left, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, right, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Swap over, exhale left. Inhale for 4 on the left. Exhale right for 8. Inhale right for 4. Exhale left for 8. Try close your eyes. Inhale for 4. Just listen to my voice. Exhale right for 8. Inhale right for 4. Exhale left for 8. Inhale for 4. Exhale right for 8. Inhale right for 4. Exhale left for 8. And you can bring your hands down. A little bit tricky to get used to that one. But yeah, how did that one feel?
That's good.
Yeah, good.
That was great.
Nice, yeah. It's a good one if you're feeling anxious, because it's going to distract you with all of that counting and that nose flipping and switching over and thinking which nostril.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great for distraction. But yeah, also really great for balancing out the right and left hemispheres of the body. What you'll probably find, a good little thing I should have mentioned before we started, if you just feel underneath your nostrils when you're exhaling to begin with, which nostril is dominant, because you have a dominant nostril.
Definitely, I noticed that.
And it actually switches over. I think it's every 6 to 8 hours, and then it switches back again. I think you go through kind of 4 cycles. And then obviously your right nostril is linked to your left hemisphere, and your left nostril is linked to your right hemisphere, and it's all about, you know, different masculine, feminine energies. Lots of interesting stuff we could go into. But yeah, if you're just in it for the breath work, just notice which nostril's dominant when you go into it, and then when you come out, just check again and see if it's changed, because sometimes little alternate nostril breathing can switch you over when you're not due to be switched. But yeah, it's interesting just noticing what it might do to your body. Yeah.
Great.
Thanks.
Good. Cool. Any questions for me?
So I have a question that with listening to what you were saying there, Jo, about the link to the different sides of the brain and masculine and feminine. There's the kind of creative and logical parts of the brain as well, I believe, different hemispheres. I remember hearing something a while ago about sleeping. The advice was that we should sleep on our left-hand side, so that we leave our right nostril open, and that becomes the dominant nostril while we're asleep. I can't remember why, but do you know anything about that? You heard that?
I don't. Not about the sleep side of it, to be honest. Although I do find I flick over quite a lot during my sleep, depending on, I think depending on which nostril is more dominant. So if my dominant nostril is being slept on, I tend to flick over and sleep the other way so that it's got the most air. I'm not really sure. So it says, did you read that it was left-hand side predominantly?
Yeah, I think it was a podcast, but I can't remember where I got it from now.
Maybe it's something to do as well with the heart and the digestive system as well. I think the heart is more rested on the left-hand side. That's why if you're doing physical first aid, if you flick someone over into the recovery position, that's always on the left. And also left is definitely positioning-wise better for digestion. Yeah, so it could be maybe not entirely to do just with the dominant nostril, but this whole kind of idea that the left is more restful side, you know, for heart, digestion, and possibly nostril.
Right, I'll just sleep on my left side tonight. At least I'll, for some time, I'll toss and turn a lot, but we'll see how we go.
Yeah, see how you go.
Interesting, okay.
It's also great to practice these exercises just before bed. These breathing exercises, I find they help hugely with getting to sleep. If your mind's ticking over loads and you're struggling to calm the nervous system down before you go to bed, and there's lots of thoughts racing, counting your breath is a great way to pass the time. Instead of counting sheep, count your breath. It works equally well. Yeah.
And I think a lot of this stuff So many holistic therapies, I feel, are connecting us to our bodies, trying to get us out of our heads, stop that overthinking, which could quite often happen, you know, when we go to bed. We start thinking about the day, thinking about tomorrow. If there's any anxieties, they can start whizzing around as well. And it's, yeah, the breath, whether you're doing mindfulness or breath work or anything else, it's a really good way of just connecting us to our body. And that.
Absolutely, yeah. That kind of grounding and centering feeling that you have when you kind of pull everything inward. Yeah, it's really powerful and comforting. There's such comfort in coming into your body when everything's going a bit wild in your head, being able to pull yourself back into that space. It feels really safe and comforting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really like that thing about using the 5 senses as well, because that is really embodying, isn't it? It's very grounded.
There we go, yeah.
Concentrates us on our physical experience, and maybe, you know, we can do stuff like that. I'd lead some meditations around that with our emotional experience as well, and finding out the sensations, what's going on and where we're feeling the emotions and stuff. And all of that gets us out of our head, into our bodies, feels much more connected.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm super interested about where consciousness lives in the body, you know, and these different emotions and consciousness of the body parts. So I could go down that route and talk about it for days. So I won't. I'm sure you all need to get some rest, but yeah, absolutely fascinating topics.
Jo, I've got a question.
Yes, hit me with it, Marcus.
Yeah, so it's about the like pranayama and the kind of spiritual element to it, and the benefit of practicing it to kind of, you know, evolve your consciousness or make you more conscious and connected in a way.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about your experience of that for yourself as a, you know, as a teacher.
Great question. I kind of discovered yoga at a very strange time in my life. I was in my 20s and partying quite a lot, and didn't really have any sort of spiritual practice. And I suppose when I started yoga and just coming home to myself felt like the beginning of my spiritual practice, and connecting with something that I felt was more than me, that I was part of, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I decided to head off to India for 8 weeks to study yoga there. And I lived in an ashram, which I had that kind of romantic Elizabeth Gilbert vibe going on, but it was the most challenging thing I've ever done. It was hugely challenging, but it was there that I first learned about consciousness, that, you know, I'm not my mind, I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my emotions. And I'd never even for 1 second questioned that, you know, that all of my thoughts and my experience wasn't actually me. And it was this idea of the observer. That was kind of my first introduction into that. And then learning about yoga and, you know, pranayama specifically, and what it does for, I suppose, improving kind of spiritual connection. They have these wonderful books and stories, basically, about I'm just trying to remember the name of it. I think it's called the Upanishads. The books that are written, these wonderful stories about different elements of the body, and they kind of give them characters. And with pranayama, there's a serpent that sleeps at the base chakra, right at the tailbone. And if you awaken it, you awaken the Kundalini energy, and it travels up your spine. But also there's 2 nadis, or 2 energies, the masculine and feminine, Ida and Pingala, and they cross over and travel up the spine as well as the Kundalini rises. And apparently, if you can get your Kundalini to rise all the way up your spine with Ida and Pingala nadis crossing over, and it reaches your crown chakra, you've reached enlightenment. That's the story. So many yogis practice pranayama for that purpose, you know, for the purpose of awakening the Kundalini and seeking the enlightenment.
Thank you.
So that's kind of the spiritual side of it.
It's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Something to aim for.
Yeah, something to aim for indeed. And yeah, see how you go.
May the fourth be with you.
Very pertinent, Kath.
Exactly. Indeed, and with you.
Yes. So, any further questions, comments before we wrap up, folks?
Just to say thank you, Jo. I really enjoyed.
Absolute pleasure, Kathleen.
Breathing for me is just, I love it. It changes my whole body. I was very tired when you came to the meeting, and now I feel quite invigorated.
Wonderful. I'm so pleased to hear that. Keep up the good work with doing your breath work. Fantastic.
Yeah, I love it. Now I know what it's called.
The breathing works.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jo.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Jo. That was awesome.
You're welcome, Jules.
And especially the 5 senses for me always gets me whenever you do a meditation with me and we do the 5 senses. It just completely grounds me and settles everything and undoes all the horribleness and the craziness. And
lovely.
That's as far as I need to go, really. And the breath work was amazing. Thanks.
Great. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much from me too.
Thanks, Alex.
Things that I'm going to look into from that. So thank you for sharing your learning with others.
Very welcome. Thanks, everyone.
Great stuff. So, Jo, is there anything else that you feel we haven't covered? Anything else you want to offer before we end?
I think without opening another Pandora's box of conversation, I think we'll probably leave it there for tonight.
Great stuff. Okay. So if people want to connect with you, find out more, enlist you for some corporate courses or anything like that?
Yeah, look me up.
It's
the Happy Mind Tribe, that's me.
Happy Mind Tribe. So website, Facebook, all that gubbins.
Yeah,
smashing.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Paul, for having me. You're such a wonderful and gracious host. And a wonderful guide as well through the process. I do love your interview style. It's great.
Thank you very much. And thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure, and it's very good of you to share the benefit of your time and experience and expertise.
A pleasure. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, folks. So I'll just do a quick plug for what's on the rest of the week. If you want to leave, you can leave, folks. But tomorrow, Man Tuesday, 6 o'clock, if you're a man and you want to do some talking and listening and sharing, then come along. That's on Zoom as well. Wednesday, we've got Mindful Yoga with Jackie at 7 o'clock. Thursday, we have got Sophie Baystream. She's a food wizard, and she's into connecting people through creativity and games and stuff using food. So
cool.
Really wonderful stuff there. Friday, I'm going to be doing a guided visualization, meditation, and connection session where we can all talk, do a bit of a circle and sharing stuff. And then on Saturday, it's the start of our book club with Rachel, The Road Less Travelled. Anyone read that, Road Less Travelled?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I've heard of it, but I've never read it.
Oh,
maybe I should get it.
Well, I don't like the word should, but I highly recommend it. And if you want to come along, it's just chapter 1 on Saturday, so you don't need to read the whole thing. But it's I found it an incredibly inspiring and enlightening book. M. Scott Peck. So yeah, that's what we've got going on the next few days. Hope to see some of you there. And thanks to all of you for joining us this evening. And thanks once again to Jo.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a nice evening.
Everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.